Good morning, I'm Charles Osgood, and this is Sunday Morning. Tomorrow is St. Valentine's Day, a day for professions of love, some of which have always led to proposals of marriage. That was once upon a time, but instead of rushing to say I do these days, more and more young lovers are saying I don't. Tracy Smith has been tracking the trend.
Marriage. It used to be a must. Now it's a maybe.
Are there still things that you have to be married to do?
No. There's no substitute for that one special person in your life, but you don't need to be married to have that.
Later on Sunday morning, deciding not to tie the knot.
When two lovers woo, they still say I love you. The fundamental things apply. But as time goes by, it seems more and more young people, instead of saying I do, are saying they don't. As Tracy Smith reports, it's not the same old story.
Look at the faces of brides-to-be, and you get the sense that they all want the same thing. It's that moment, that split second on her wedding day when time stops and all eyes are on her as she stands before the world in a dress designed to stun. At Kleinfeld Bridal in New York, the fantasy of the perfect wedding is alive, but beyond the sequins and chiffon, marriage itself is fading fast. For the past few decades, the percentage of married adults in the U.S. has dropped steadily from 72% in 1970 to 54% last year.
We're living longer outside marriage than ever before.
Stephanie Kuntz is the author of a new book about the evolution of women in society.
We're spending much more time getting education, establishing ourselves in jobs before we get married, and then when we get married, staying together till death do us part is a bigger challenge than it used to be.
What's more, the perception of marriage has changed. In a poll for Sunday Morning, 7 in 10 Americans say the institution of marriage is weaker now than it was 20 years ago.
Not everyone is going to stay married.
Chuck Stetson is chairman of the Let's Strengthen Marriage campaign.
So is marriage obsolete?
I'm a business guy and I look at research, and the research shows here that people who are married live longer, they're healthier, they have a lot more wealth, and they're happier. I don't think that's obsolete.
Are married people happier?
Married people who are in good marriages are about as happy as you can get, followed by never married single women 50 years and older who have discovered that, in fact, there are lots of pleasures in singlehood.
Are you happy?
Absolutely.
Jane Scandura is one of them. A successful marketing executive, she owns her own home, has her own boat, and a big circle of friends. Everything, it would seem, except a husband.
You know, the reasons why people get married are no longer what they used to be. I mean, you used to get married in the past, you know, to have sex. No one had sex before marriage. You didn't have kids unless you were married. Now people are having kids outside of marriage. And also, women used to get married for financial security because they didn't have any other way to sustain themselves. That's all gone.
And with no compelling reason to wed, Scandura chose not to jump at the first proposal.
I could very easily have gotten married plenty of times, but I probably would have been a divorce statistic, but I feel like I just didn't make a mistake.
It wasn't all that long ago that the prevailing wisdom was get married or else.
And the pressures to marry and the prejudice against people who didn't marry were so great that a woman who reached age 24 or 25 was considered highly suspect. She was what the Japanese called Christmas cake, unlikely to be taken off the shelf.
And the expectations once you were married were different.
There was a big Gallup poll in 1962, just before Betty Friedan's The Feminine Mystique was published, and they asked women what makes for a good marriage. And the women said, well, every marriage needs a boss. And when sociologists interviewed people and asked, you know, do you have a good marriage? They would get answers like this: yes, we have a very good marriage. He hardly ever hits me.
Of course, as women's roles in society changed, so did their views of marriage. In this country now, women outnumber men in college, and nearly twice as many single women than single men own their own homes. They're getting married later and at all different stages of life. Mara Urschel is Kleinfeld Bridal's president.
Do you have maternity wedding dresses?
Well, they don't start out to be that way. We can adjust them. Our alterations department is filled with magicians. Now, a bump is a fashion item as well.
A pregnancy bump is a fashion item, even in a wedding dress?
Yes. Could go down the aisle with a bump and flowers. And it's nobody thinks anything of it. They congratulate them twice.
And the truth is, even as the number of married people shrinks, poll numbers show the urge to tie the knot is still strong.
Among those who've never been married, a vast majority of them, 77%, say it's important to them to tie the knot someday.
I don't know, you're gonna kill me. Well, now that changes everything.
Just getting ready to marry has become a spectator sport,
I like to be different from everybody else.
with no fewer than half a dozen wedding-themed reality shows.
Are you saying yes to this dress?
I'm saying yes to this dress.
She's saying yes.
Is it possible that we love weddings, but we're not so crazy about marriage anymore?
Well, there is something to that because there's such an excitement of the preparation for the wedding.
In fact, while marriage may be faltering, the wedding business itself is, paradoxically, on a roll.
It's very profitable right now.
Without compliments.
Hey, thanks! 40 years ago, actor Wayne Rogers was on the TV show MASH.
A little more veil, please. I can still see your face.
Our revenue will be probably in excess of $30 million.
Now, investor Wayne Rogers is a partner at Kleinfeld.
If there are more unmarried people than married people, that means that's that many more people who need to get married. That just opens our opportunity. That gives us a bigger market because those people will someday want to get married. It's a natural thing.
Even if they don't stay married?
Even if they don't, they may listen. As we well know, sometimes people get married 2, 3, 4 times. Wonderful for business.
I have but one heart.
Which is not to say that Till Death Do Us Part is dead. The people in this 1951 wedding are still married, happily.
To share with you.
And I don't feel like I really worked at our marriage to make you happy. It just came naturally.
Made in heaven.
Oh.
Tom and Olga Skandura will celebrate their 60th anniversary in May. They're also the parents of a single daughter, Jane.
Jane? She's so happy.
They're fine with her status as a happily single woman. The topic of marriage never comes up. Well, almost never.
You know that saying, for every woman there's a man. So there has to be one out there. I don't know, he's hiding. Maybe he's shy, like your father. Like my father. See?
Would you like to be married?
You know, I would love to be in a committed relationship, whether it be married or not, but I'd also love to be rich and gorgeous and 2 inches taller. But I'm not going to slit my wrists over that either.
There's still hope on the marriage front? There might not be on the 2 inches taller,
Yeah,
but...
right, I think, yeah, I hope so. I would love to, yeah, with the right guy. It's got to be the right guy. Where is he?